The girl who fell rain came down in sheets, cold and relentless, turning the pavement slick underfoot. It wasn't supposed to rain. The weather app had promised clear skies, but now the city looked like something out of a disaster film. Still, the crowd pushed forward, thousands of runners thudding along the marathon route, chasing time, chasing pride, chasing something. Jace McCall wasn't chasing anything. Not really. He wasn't wearing a number. He didn't have a bib. His shoes were fraying at the toes, and his jacket, 2 sizes too big, flapped like a broken sail in the wind. Jace wasn't here to win. He wasn't even officially in the race. He was just running to stay warm, to stay invisible, to stay out of trouble. He wasn't supposed to be here, not in the expensive part of town, not among all these people with $1,000 gear and protein gels and watches that spoke to satellites. But no one noticed a skinny black teen with his hood up keeping pace near the edges of the course. No one ever noticed Jace until she fell. It happened fast. Too fast. She was maybe 15 feet ahead of him, a girl in a red hoodie and black leggings, running smooth, fast, like she belonged. Here. And then she staggered. 1 step, 2, and then she collapsed. Hard, face first onto the asphalt. Gasps echoed around him. Some runners slowed, glanced over their shoulders. A few dodged around her, but no one stopped. The rhythm of the race couldn't be broken, not even for someone who might be dying. Jace didn't think. He just reacted. He ran to her, slid to. His knees. Hey, are you okay? No response. The girl's skin was pale, too pale. Her lips were blue. Her eyes fluttered but didn't open. She looked like she couldn't breathe. Jace reached to check her pulse, like he'd seen in a video once, and it was there, but weak. Too weak. Help! He shouted, waving at the crowd. She needs help! Still, no one stopped. A woman glanced back, her face twisted in pity. But she kept running. A man yelled something about staying out of the way. Another runner almost tripped trying to avoid them. Jace clenched his jaw. Screw it. He slipped his arms under her shoulders and legs and hoisted her up. She was lighter than he expected, but limp, dead weight. He almost dropped her. Hang on, he muttered, though he knew she couldn't hear. The sidewalk was chaos, rain, noise, people screaming encouragement and blaring music from speakers. Still no sign of medics. Jace darted toward the edge of the crowd, scanning for help. Then he saw it, a patch of red flashing lights 2 blocks ahead. The medical station. It might as well have been a mile. He shifted her weight, slipping once. On the wet ground, his arms trembled. Come on, he begged her. Don't die on me now. As he moved, something glittered at her neck. A thin silver chain with a strange pendant. It looked antique, old, not something a teen would wear. And on her wrist, a diamond-studded watch. Expensive. Way too expensive. Jace's heart thudded faster. What kind of girl runs a marathon in gear like this? He kept moving. Finally, someone noticed. A paramedic saw him coming and rushed forward with a stretcher. 2 more followed. They gently pulled the girl from his arms, laying her down and placing an oxygen mask over her face. One checked her. Pulse, another called out vitals. She's hypothermic, one said, and possibly concussed. Jace stood there, drenched and shivering, not knowing what to do. Are you her brother? The medic asked. No, Jace said. I don't know her. They didn't press. The girl was loaded into an ambulance, and just like that, she was gone. 3 hours later, St. Luke's Hospital. Jace sat in the lobby, wrapped in a scratchy blanket someone had given him. His clothes were still wet. His hands were numb. Nurse brought him tea and a dry sandwich. You did something good, she said softly. She's stable now. If you hadn't brought her in when you did... Well, it could have been bad. He nodded, not sure what to say. He didn't even know her name. No one did. She had no ID, no phone, no emergency tag. The hospital had checked local schools, marathon registration, nothing. The name on her entry was a fake. She was a ghost. The only thing real was the necklace, which turned out to be a priceless heirloom. The watch, even more valuable, and that's when things started to get weird. Later that night, hospital room, 214 Jace stood at the doorway, unsure if he was even allowed in. A nurse nodded and motioned him forward. The girl lay propped up in bed, hooked to monitors and IVs. Her eyes were open now, a deep hazel that looked older than her age. She looked at him. "You," she said, her voice hoarse. "You're the one who carried me?" He nodded slowly. She looked confused. "Thank you." There was a long pause. Then she whispered, "I don't know who I am." Jace frowned. "What do you mean?" "I don't remember anything. Not my name, not how I got there. Nothing." He thought maybe she was still out of it. But her eyes were sharp, scared. "I remember running, I remember rain. Then, nothing." "Do you remember your parents? Friends? Where you live?" She shook her head. It's like someone pressed delete. The nurse came in, gave Jace a look. "She needs rest." He nodded, turned to go, but the girl reached out, grabbed his hand. "Don't leave yet," she said. He stayed. For 5 more minutes, they sat in silence. Then the nurse returned and gently pushed him out. Outside the hospital, Jace stood in the dark, watching the city lights flicker through the rain. He should have gone home hours ago, but the truth was, he didn't really have one. Not one that felt like home, anyway. His mom worked nights. His stepdad barely looked at him. Most nights, Jace found himself on the streets, walking to nowhere. But tonight something was different. That girl, whoever she was, had landed in his path for a reason. She'd said she didn't remember anything. But those clothes, that jewelry, she was someone important, and someone, somewhere, was going to come looking for her. Maybe not someone good. Jace felt a chill crawl up his spine that had nothing to do with the rain. He pulled up his hood. Whatever this was, it wasn't over. Not even close. The name she didn't know. The rain had stopped by morning, but the sky stayed grey, as if the city itself was still holding its breath. Jace McCall hadn't slept. He sat on a cold bench outside St. Luke's Hospital, his hoodie pulled tight around his head, a bag of vending machine chips half-eaten in his lap. He kept checking the hospital's glass doors, waiting for any sign of movement from inside. He didn't know why he was still here. He could have left last night. Should have, maybe. But something about the way the girl had looked at him, the way she'd said she didn't remember her name, it stuck with him. It gnawed at his thoughts like a splinter under the skin. He wasn't the kind of person who got involved in anything, not after everything that had happened back home. But this felt different. At exactly 9:02 a.m., a nurse came out. "She's asking for you," she said. Room 214, St. Luke's. The girl looked slightly better than last night. Her cheeks had colour again. She was sitting up straighter in bed, but her eyes still held that lost, hunted look, like she was somewhere between waking and a nightmare. "You came back," she said. "Yeah," Jace replied, awkwardly stuffing his hands in his pockets. "Didn't have much else going on." She gave a small smile. "I'm glad." He pulled up a chair. "They're calling me Jane Doe," she said. "Like a placeholder. I guess that's all I am right now." "They still don't know anything?" She shook her head. "The necklace and the watch. They traced the brand. They're real, expensive, but no fingerprints, no engraving, nothing. My fingerprints didn't match any databases either. They don't even know if I'm American." Jace tilted his head. "You don't have an accent. At least, not that I can tell." She nodded slowly. "I speak English like I've always spoken it, but when I try to think about a home or school or parents, there's just nothing there. It's like my brain stops at a wall." "What about dreams, memories, feelings?" Her expression changed. I do remember something, a room with paintings, huge ones, gold frames. There were servants. One woman wore all white and spoke French, I think. She kept calling someone ma chère. And there was music, classical music. Jace frowned. That doesn't sound like a normal life. I know. She hesitated. And that's what's scaring me. Meanwhile, outside the city across town, inside a black SUV with tinted windows, a man in a navy suit tapped through photos on his tablet. The last photo, taken just a few days ago, showed a girl with dark blonde hair laughing beside a Rolls-Royce, the girl in the hospital bed. He turned to the woman seated beside him. She's alive, but she doesn't remember anything. It's worse than we thought. The woman didn't blink. Do they know who she is? Not yet, but the boy, the one who carried her, he's going to become a problem. Back at St. Luke's, Jace was heading down to the vending machine when he noticed two people walking in, sharp suits, sunglasses, too polished to be hospital staff. They walked like they belonged here, but something in Jace's gut told him otherwise. He watched them from behind a hallway pillar. They spoke to the front desk nurse, then flashed badges, not police badges, something else. Jace moved fast. He took the stairs instead of the elevator, racing back to room 214. He burst in. "We have to go." The girl blinked. "What?" "There are people downstairs asking about you. I don't know who they are, but they're not your friends." She looked terrified. "How do you know that?" "Because I've seen that look before. My cousin used to run with gangs. Whenever someone came looking for him, they walked the same way." She hesitated. "I don't even know if I can walk." "I'll help you." He grabbed her. Clothes from the chair helped her into sweatpants and a hospital hoodie. She winced, still sore, but stood. Jace led her through the fire escape stairs, 3 floors down, out the emergency exit into the alley behind the hospital. They disappeared into the morning haze. Later that day, an abandoned community center, the old gym where Jace sometimes crashed at night, was dark and silent. The city had closed it down a year ago, but the back door never locked properly. He gave the girl a blanket, a bottled water, and sat beside her on the bleachers. "You can't stay in the hospital," he said. "Not if those people know you're there." She nodded. "I believe you. I don't know why, but I do." "Do you want to pick a name?" he asked suddenly. "What?" "A temporary one. Something to call you until we find out who you really are." She smiled faintly. "You think we'll find out? I think we have to try." She looked up at the broken basketball hoop and whispered, "Sky." "Sky," she shrugged. "I like the sky. And it feels free." He smiled. "Okay, sky it is." That night, an unexpected visitor. They were asleep on the gym floor, curled in blankets, when someone banged on the side door. Jace was up in a second. He grabbed a rusted metal pole and moved quietly toward the sound. Sky stayed behind, heart racing. The door opened, and it was Malik. Jace exhaled. Malik was Jace's only real friend. A year older, quick-talking, always scheming. He'd been kicked out of 3 schools, but he had street smarts Jace couldn't match. "Yo," Malik whispered, "you're on the news." "What?" Malik held up his phone. On the screen was a photo, grainy footage from a traffic camera, showing Jace carrying Sky across the street. Headline, "Unknown Teen Saves Marathon Runner. Mystery Girl Still Unidentified." Jace stared. "Crap." Malik nodded. "You need to disappear, bro. That girl with you? She's not just some rich kid." "What do you mean?" Malik hesitated. "You ever hear the name Devereux?" Jace shook his head. "They're like ultra-billionaires. Old money, private islands, jet planes, secret meetings type. Real secretive. That girl? She looks exactly like their missing daughter. News said she vanished during a trip to Europe last month. No ransom, no note, just gone." Sky's eyes widened. "What if I really am her?" she whispered. Midnight. decision time. Jace sat on the floor, thinking. If Sky was who Malik thought she was, if she really came from one of the richest, most secretive families in the world, then someone had gone through a lot of trouble to make her disappear, and now she was back, and she didn't remember anything, which meant she was vulnerable. A threat, a liability. Someone was going to come for her. Jace looked over at Sky, curled in a corner with her arms wrapped around her. Knees. She looked small, scared. He made a silent promise. No matter what happened, he wasn't going to let anyone hurt her. Not again. The family. She forgot Sky woke with a scream. She sat bolt upright on the dusty gym floor, gasping for air, soaked in sweat despite the early morning cold. Her hands trembled as she clutched the blanket around her shoulders, heart hammering like it was trying to escape her chest. Jace was beside her in seconds. It's okay. You're safe. Just a dream. Sky blinked. Her vision was blurry. It wasn't just a dream, she whispered. It was real. I saw someone pushing me. Jace froze. Pushing you. She nodded. There was a balcony, marble floors, a woman yelling. Then someone grabbed my arm. I slipped, and everything went black. Jace looked down, processing. This was the first real clue. I think, Sky added slowly, someone tried to kill me. Later that morning, Malik's apartment, they couldn't stay in the gym anymore. Malik had offered his place, a tiny one-room studio above a barbershop. He cleaned on weekends. I want to help, Malik said, handing Sky a clean hoodie and a bowl of cereal. But if people find out she's with you, bro, it's over. Jace glanced at Sky. We'll be careful. Malik turned serious. I did more digging. The Devereux family has scrubbed almost everything about their daughter from the internet. Photos, news. Her name doesn't show up on school records, travel logs, nothing. It's like she was erased. Why would a family erase their own kid? Jace asked. Malik hesitated. Unless they wanted people to forget her ever existed. Sky. And dropped her spoon. Her hands shook again. You think my family did this to me? Jace didn't answer. But his silence said enough. Across the city, a mansion with shuttered windows. The woman from the SUV stood in front of a massive fireplace, her hands clasped tightly. Her hair was pulled into a perfect bun, her lipstick immaculate. But her voice was like ice. She's alive, she said, and someone's hiding her. Across from her, a man in a black coat nodded. We're tracking them. Street cams caught them near the South Subway line. We believe the boy is using known squatter spots to hide her. The woman stared into the flames. She cannot remember who she is. Good. But if she does, we end everything. Back in Malik's apartment, Jace found an old laptop Malik had stolen years ago and booted it up. Let's try something, he said, turning it toward Sky. I want you to look through faces. Maybe someone will seem familiar. He opened an online yearbook site and typed in private schools in New York, London, Geneva, and Paris, places billionaires sent their kids. Sky scrolled. Dozens of faces, boys and girls, names and dates. She paused at one. That's me, she whispered. I think that's me. Jace leaned in. The photo was blurry, but the resemblance was undeniable. Same jawline, same eyes, same small mole near the ear. Name Celeste Devereux School, Beaumont International Academy, Switzerland. Jace's mouth went dry. So it's true. You're her. Sky. Celeste touched the screen. I feel sick. She barely remembered anything, but just the name pulled something sharp and painful from deep inside. A flash of someone yelling in French, a cold room with white roses, a man with a cane pointing at her and saying, "You're not one of us." What if I'm not supposed to go back? She whispered. What if they don't want me alive? Jace sat beside her. Then you're not going back, not until we know what's really going on. 2 days later, a message arrives. They'd gone underground, changing locations every night, avoiding cameras, using cash only. But it wasn't enough. While Jace was out getting food, a folded paper was slipped under Malik's apartment door. Sky found it first. Inside, a photo of her collapsed at the marathon. Written in red ink, "Tell the boy to stop or you both disappear." When Jace came back, she showed him. He stared at the photo for a long time. "They know we're close," he said. "We need to end this." Sky shook her head. "How?" "By finding someone who'll tell the truth." Later that night, a plan forms. Malik had an idea. "There's a woman used to work for the Devereux family, house staff, fired last year. I found her name on a private forum. She was complaining about rich devils and being threatened." "What's her name?" Jace asked. "Clarice Duval." He looked her up. She lived in the Bronx now, far from the luxury estates she once uncleaned. They took a chance and went to her. She opened the door in a robe and slippers, hair in curlers, a cigarette in one hand. "You don't look like delivery," she said flatly. Jace stepped forward. "We need your help. It's about Celeste Devereux." She froze. "No one's called that name in months." "She's alive," Jace said, "and she's with us." Clarice's eyes widened. "Oh, God, she survived?" Sky stepped into view. Clarice gasped. "They told us you drowned. They said it was a private accident, that your mother went crazy and—" "My mother?" Sky whispered. Clarice paused. "Not your real mother. She married into the family. She hated you from the start, always said you weren't pure enough. After your father passed, she tried to send you to boarding school forever." "I remember. A woman in white, always shouting." Clarice nodded. "That's her, Solène Devereux, cold as ice. She controlled everything after your father died." "Did she try to kill me?" Clarice hesitated, then whispered, "Yes." The truth emerges. Clarice told them everything. Celeste's father, Marcus Devereux, had been grooming her to take over a portion of the family's European investments. She was young but brilliant. Too brilliant. Solène, his second wife, had a son from another marriage. She wanted him to inherit everything. One night, while on a yacht in the Mediterranean, Celeste vanished. The family told the press she drowned, but Clarice didn't believe it. And now she was proven right. Back at Malik's apartment, Sky couldn't sleep. Her brain buzzed with flashes of memory. She remembered her father's voice, soft and kind, reading her stories. She remembered her stepmother's claws, always finding ways to punish her, and she remembered the yacht, the balcony, the shove. "I think she pushed me," she whispered. Jace sat next to her. "You need to go public. Tell people the truth. They can't silence you once the world knows." Sky shook her head. "Not yet. I need more proof. Otherwise, they'll say I'm just a girl with a head injury and a fantasy." Jace stood up. "Then let's get proof. The secret that could end everything." The night was cold but quiet, as Jace and Sky sat in the dim light of Malik's apartment. The air was thick with tension. No more running, no more hiding. It was time to fight. Sky looked out the small window, her eyes distant. "I'm scared," she said softly. "If we do this, if we tell the world, I don't know what will happen." Jace leaned forward, resting his elbows on his knees. "I know, but you've already survived more than anyone should. You deserve to be free, to live without fear." Malik sat beside them, scrolling through his phone. "I've been talking to some contacts, journalists, bloggers who hate billionaires who think they're above the law. If we get them the proof Clarice promised, they'll broadcast your story worldwide." Sky swallowed hard. "But what if Solène finds me first?" Jace's face hardened. "Then we'll make sure she can't." The next morning, a meeting with Clarice. Clarice had promised a box of documents, proof of everything. Papers, photos, emails, the kind of evidence that could topple an empire. They met in a rundown diner on the edge of the city. Clarice slid a battered manila envelope across the scratched table. "Everything in here shows Solène's lies," Clarice whispered. Contracts faked to erase Celeste from the will. Photos of meetings where she planned to send you away. Forever. Sky opened the envelope with trembling hands. Her breath caught as she saw a photo. A luxury yacht. The night she disappeared, with Solène arguing with a shadowy man. "Who's that?" Jace asked. Clarice shook her head. "We don't know, but they were there when you vanished." Publishing the story with Malik's help, the journalists verified the documents. Within days, the story exploded online. Articles, videos, interviews. Sky's real identity was public. The world was watching. At first, there were messages of support, strangers sending prayers, offers of help, but then came the threats, anonymous emails. Phone calls with silence on the other end. One night, their apartment door was rattled violently. Jace grabbed a baseball bat. Malik called the police. "We're making waves," Malik said grimly. The fallout. The Devereux family released a statement, denying everything, calling Sky an imposter with a damaged mind. Solène's lawyers filed a lawsuit to silence the media, but the damage was done. Sky's story inspired others who felt powerless, people fighting their own battles against injustice. She appeared on talk shows, her voice steady, her eyes fierce. I'm not a ghost," she said. "I am here and I will be heard." A new beginning. Months passed. Sky lived quietly, working with Clarice and a team of advocates to expose corruption among the rich and powerful. Jace finished school with a scholarship, something he never dreamed of. One afternoon, Sky and Jace walked in a park, sunlight filtering through the leaves. "Do you ever regret it?" Sky asked. Jace smiled. "No. You saved me just as much as I saved you." Sky nodded. "We're survivors. That's what matters." The lesson. Sky's story was more than a mystery solved. It was a testament to resilience, that no matter how dark the past or how powerful the enemy, the human spirit could break free, and sometimes the poorest kid on the block could become the hero of a billionaire's lost daughter. The end.